So welcome, welcome, welcome to all our fabulous new Vice President Education team. These Fridays is really the highlight of my week and being able to spend some quality time with each of you. Just a shout out to Granny B and Lynette and Estelle, who are my fellow co-facilitators. And Granny B, Lynette and I started this about 2 years ago. And we really found that it's been a very successful program. So we hope that you put these in as recurring diary reminders and that you come and spend every Friday with us between now and I think we normally end around November, and helping you to just get yourselves up to speed with what you need to do. So today we're going to start at the beginning. We're going to start with understanding what your members' needs are and what the process is for you to start that journey with them. I also want to say, though, that we're by no means the experts. We might know a lot, but we don't know everything. And also, each experience is a little bit different. So in your club, you might do things a little bit differently. And so we want to spend some time with you understanding what your context is, and then having an opportunity to do some questions and answers. So I'm going to present for probably about 20 minutes, and then we'll do about 10 minutes of questions and answers before we finish off formally, but we usually then hang around and continue to answer any questions that anybody may have. Granny B, Estelle, Lynette, any of you want to add anything before we kick off on today's piece?
No, we're all good.
I might
Good.
just quickly add that actually what brought this training about was the fact that I was handing as VPE over to 2 other clubs. And it was just during COVID time, and we went online to do this. Then I had a casual conversation with someone else, and they said, can we join? Can we join? And then when I had the first handover session with them, there were 65 people. And I wondered where they came from. And then it became a permanent thing. And then eventually it went to a district item. And here we are. It's longer than 2 years, Karen. Okay, over to you.
Well, I think Lynette and I have been involved for about 2-3 years. Fantastic. You can see my screen?
Yes.
Fantastic. Right. So we start out and we want to understand what this roadmap of Toastmasters is. And it really does feel sometimes like it's a convoluted highway that we're never ending, and we don't know where to get on and we don't know where to get off. And I'll always start out with my new members and say, if you don't know where you're going, then any road is going to get you there. And so understanding why your members join, understanding what their interests are, understanding where they're interested in learning and growing, and then understanding where you, as the VPE, can actually help them to connect into the program is always a good place to start. So that's where we're starting today. We also want to understand is that who do they engage as their tour guides in this fabulous program called Toastmasters? So they're invited in as a guest by the Vice President Public Relations. So there's a great relationship between the VPE and the public relations person. Then once they've come in as a guest, the Vice President membership then engages them to say, how would you like to become a member? Here's the membership form. Here's the application. Please sign on the dotted line. And now we have you as a member. And then as that member, we want to get them connected through the Vice President Education or the mentor or the mentor chairperson, depending on how your club operates. And that person then needs to deeply understand what it is that brought them to Toastmasters and what they want to achieve, bringing in then the mentor interest aspect. In some clubs, what we really enjoy doing is adding a buddy, and that creates a little bit of friendly competition between those two individuals, so that when the first one finishes the icebreaker, the next one is actually saying, come on, get going. Let's get together in this process. So I like to do sometimes an onboarding with two people together so that we can create that bond and that friendly competition with people. But of course, overarchingly, you as the Vice President Education are responsible for making sure that our members are properly onboarded and that we help them to meet and achieve the goals that they set for themselves. So the first thing we need to understand from these people is most people join because they're interested in the communication aspect of our program. And that communication aspect obviously includes our speaking, but we sometimes forget that the listening is the bigger need in most people's learning journey. And I know this as an education professional, as a learning partner in a big organization. So that listening piece people forget. The thinking piece is another big piece, is that often people are like a hamster in a wheel and they just go round and round and round and round. They don't really reflect and think about what's important, and helping people to connect through critical thinking. Many of the pieces of our program help our people to connect into that critical thinking. So it's things like when I have to do the listener's minute, I have to critically evaluate what could be important points for these people to need to remember. When I'm completing an evaluation to motivate my member to continue in their journey, it's about being able to critically evaluate in that particular delivery of what that person is doing well and maybe not so well. And then, of course, the confidence is something that really grows by osmosis in many cases, and helping people to connect into these aspects of communication helps them to be able to grow in their careers and develop those #real skills. The leadership stuff I find comes about 6 months into the program, when people suddenly start realizing, oh my word, I'm starting to learn about how to manage a meeting. That's leadership, it's self-leadership. I'm learning to
It seems she's frozen. Let's give her a moment.
club strategy. How do we lead successful teams?
So she's dropped off and she will probably pop back up. I will, in the meantime, look for that PowerPoint.
For a minute.
Yes,
I lost you there
dropped
for a
off.
minute.
Yeah, you dropped off and you were frozen and dropped off. So I was just about to think maybe I need to launch it and be ready in case this happens again. You are welcome
Okay,
to.
that's fine. Okay, can you see my screen? Where did you lose me?
Yes, it was by the leadership one there, just quite there. You just started talking about leadership.
Okay, so then what people learn when they then join the exco is about really not just the self-leadership by leading pieces in the meeting, but they start to learn more holistically about how to drive the club strategy, how to lead successful teams, how to inspire and motivate people and their performance, and then about measuring and rewarding success and understanding and motivating and inspiring people to connect into the different aspects of those assignments that are going to help them to learn these #real skills is an important part of our Vice President Education's role. Right, if we then move on, is that there's some tools that we can use in this journey. So the first thing is that there is this form called the Toastmasters International Member Interest Survey. And having this particular form then allows us to ask the person to give us some idea of what's the goals that they're driving, 2 goals that they're driving, 2 objectives that they want to accomplish. So it could be any one of the communication or leadership things I spoke about on the previous page. And then some of those personal and vocational interests. And if they've put them as high interests, those are the ones that you want to focus on as the Vice President Education in getting them started in their journey. I know that Granny B has converted this member interest form into a Google sheet that she sends out to some of her clubs. And Granny B, I don't know if you want to share that in the chat, that people can then maybe copy that and use it for their own people. And this tool is a great tool to then be able to see across your club, are there common themes that you want to start looking at that you can incorporate into some of your future or your next meetings? What you want to do is you want to focus on the benefits that come for your people. You know, when you sell the sizzle, you don't sell the program. You know, in Apple, it's the why behind, not the what that or the how. It's the why. So if the person wants to connect into any one of these 5 competencies, although I must say, in them paring down the 11 pathways down to 6, it seems that the 6 that they've chosen don't necessarily have the management piece in them. So the 6 pathways that people can connect to will give you the competency of public speaking, of interpersonal communication, strategic leadership, and confidence. Those are the ones, the 4 that will be driven through this particular piece. I still have the 10 paths on here because I haven't found an updated graphic of what those paths are, but then connecting your person to the specific path that's going to help them to be able to deliver against their interest. And so the 6 pathways that are now relevant is the dynamic leadership, the leadership development, motivational strategies. I think the persuasive influence stayed.
Engaging in humor.
Engaging in humor, and the visionary communication. So those are the ones that they now get on their dashboard. Once you understand those interests, what you then want to do is agree a speaking and a leadership goal for the next 3 months, because you don't want to overwhelm people with a whole year. You just want to say for the next 3 months, which is the next 6 meetings, what do you want to do? And then you create a plan between you and the member, and you assign immediately a date when they will deliver their icebreaker. I just want to say in my own club, we generally ask people to deliver their icebreaker before they join as a member, because we go through a lot of admin and then they realize how much work's involved and then they drop out. So in my corporate club, we ask them to deliver their icebreaker before they're allowed to become a member. And then, of course, from an interest point of view, I keep them accountable by putting them into this Toastmasters promise piece, which then just says I commit to come to regular meetings. So I'm going to stop there, because that's really about understanding the interest of your members and understanding what they want before you get them into the formalized program. So I'm going to open now for some questions and for some input from all of you in terms of how you define the interest of your particular members who are in your club. And Granny B, Estelle and Lynette, you're welcome to, while we're waiting for people to put their hands up, to contribute anything from your perspectives.
I might just quickly add that when you were talking about the communication side, that's mainly what most people join for, is the communication side. And yes, you're right, they discover the leadership side. But I always like to encourage people that the communication side is learned really well when you're a leader, because that's where you can identify or evaluate how well are you communicating with your team. Are they able to understand the vision, and are you able to inspire them, especially if you're working with nonprofits and volunteers? That's where you learn, because leaders inspire action, and that's how you learn, is my communication inspiring action?
I love that. Thank you, Granny B. Lynette, you also wanted to add a point?
Perhaps it's going to be dealt with in next week's session, but what you gain out of your member interest survey is to know what they're doing and what they want to achieve in this next 6 months or in the next year, preferably in the next year. And I always tell people, Toastmasters year does not finish on the 30th of June. When it comes to planning, it finishes on the 30th of April, because life happens. So if you've planned to do something and finish your goals for this year by the 30th of April and life happens, you have May to catch up and June to get the stuff into the system. So don't plan to deliver your last speech on the 26th of June so that you finish your path or whatever it is. Plan to do it by the 26th of April if you have to, so that if something trips you up, you're able to still get everything done.
Oh, thanks so much, Lynette. I think that's probably going to come up a lot more when we start talking about the plan. For now, we're just getting people into the process, but it's a great tip to say to people, if you are interested in doing this, then definitely you need to set some targets. Okay, I don't know how to say your name, the Liv. How do I say your name? The lady or the gent that's got their hand up, THELVK. You have your hand up.
Yes,
How
that's
do I
the
say your name?
LVK. Oh, it's the LVK, but it's Luvuko. My name is Luvuko.
Levuko. Okay, Levuko,
Yes,
you
yes.
have a question.
Yes, I have a question. I've been with Toastmasters now for almost a year, and I've recently become a VPE. And I was just wondering if you guys perhaps have like a roadmap on how to develop myself, as the VPE, and then start to implement the stuff that you're talking about here in this meeting.
Well, the very first step in developing yourself is to come to these Fridays.
All right, step 1 in progress.
Lauren seems to have frozen again.
Yes. You want to carry on there, Lynette, or?
I can or you can, but if you come to Friday lunchtime sessions,
There, he's
you will
back.
pick up what currently needs to be addressed whenever we are. So as we deal with it, as it progresses, you'll pick up what needs to be sorted out currently. Karen, you back? Yes,
I
it
don't know
looks like
why.
it.
I'm at the office today, so I think that's why it's not great. But it sounds like you answered that question well.
I would also,
And I hope that you've done your 3-hour training with, I don't know if you were able to attend on the 12th of July, but the club officer full training as well as these Fridays. Granny B?
I have not done the training. I'd love to do that.
yes, thank you. I wanted to just also add, he's asking about a roadmap. And I would also just say, just think of you as VPE being something similar to the learning and development or the HR type role in a company. And that just means you take to heart the education of the people in the club and the meetings. So your roadmap would be involved in creating a flow, how that looks like. Okay.
Yeah, thank you, Granny B. That's a great tip. Okay, iPhone 3, you have a question.
Oh, good afternoon. That should be me. Apologies for not changing to my name. It's Nozoko
It's
Twala.
okay.
I'm a VPE. I joined a while back. However, I recently, made a comeback. So
Welcome
I'm
back.
yeah. So I'm trying to understand really to do a good job by my role. So thank you for for what you've said so far. It just makes sense. The other challenge I'm having now is dealing more with old or previous members who've actually been in the club for a long time. While it's easy, to captivate and to bring interest and to, try to have a program for, with the new members. How does one still bring in the old members who may be away for various reasons? And sometimes I feel as if maybe those reasons are not really tangible now for them to, to not participate regularly in meetings, despite the fact that they've signed the the member promise and so on. So I'm hoping maybe that in the in the discussion there'll be aspects coming from that side as well. Thank you.
Okay, that's a great question about how do you keep your more experienced members involved after they've done their stints. So do we, besides Granny B, myself, Estelle, and Lynette, does anybody else have any tips and tricks at this stage? And then we'll add ours at the end, because a leader always speaks last. Anybody have some tips? You can type it in the chat, or you can take yourself off mute and tell us.
Hi, good afternoon. It's Shamil from Highway Toastmasters.
Shamil,
How are you?
great. Good, and you?
I'm good, thanks. At Highway Toastmasters, what we normally do with our more experienced members is they become our backup speakers and evaluators in terms of, when we have members just falling off or pulling out at the last minute. So that's how we keep them engaged. And yeah, that's from Highway Toastmasters.
I love that. Thank you, Shamil. I have to say that as a more experienced member, sometimes I'm not sure when to step forward and when to step back, because when I step forward, I'm worried I'm going to step on somebody's toes and I'm taking over when I shouldn't be. And other times I step back and then nobody else steps forward. So it's a little bit of a dance, but I do know that I like to be needed. So as a VPE, if you tell me you need me, I'm there. Yeah, so that's just my own perspective. iPhone 3, you still have your hand up, so I'm wondering if you have further questions. But Granny B, your take on keeping our experienced people involved and interested.
One of the things that I've noticed is the fact that most people that join Toastmasters have a helping heart. They like to help and support others. And when people that have done and accomplished what they want to do, and they don't feel needed, they retract. So I would honestly look at approaching them and engaging with them to find out what needs might they have. And if they don't have any needs, then share with them, what would you do? Look at them as established. What would you do? We have so many new people coming in. What kind of advice would you give, or would you be interested in supporting us in helping them further? When people feel needed, some of them will blow you over with their commitment in how they get involved. Help them feel needed.
Love that. Thank you. Estelle, how about you? What advice do you have about keeping experienced members interested?
I'm part of, I see Bradford is here. I'm part of Bradford's club. We're advanced speakers, and we have a lot of advanced speakers. So what I find, what I love, I'm a lifelong learner. So as you say, these people have all the knowledge. They know everything. They've been Toastmasters for 9 years, 10 years, 11 years, and they know stuff. and they want to help see other people grow. So if you help them help others, they're going to be interested in Toastmasters. And the people joining the club, they're going to be interested because now they're learning stuff that they didn't know they didn't know. So
Yeah.
I completely agree with that. If you tell them they're needed and they are needed, they will show up.
Yeah. So Bradford, just nod your head. Are you wanting to contribute to this conversation, or do you have a different question? Okay, so then come off mute and contribute, and then we'll go to Maureen with her question.
Thank you very much, Karen. So I just wanted to say that, especially what I'm finding with established members or members who've been around for a while is they still have a why to be a part of Toastmasters. Otherwise, they would have left. So I think tapping into that why can be quite important. Sometimes they don't even know. They're like, oh, okay, I want to try harder speeches. I want to try a podcast. Oh, I actually need to train a lot more. I need to give like bigger speeches or stuff like that. So giving your more experienced members or advanced members like a little bit of space to say, hey, you have something weird, you want to try it. Like, this is the space to now. You've now mastered the basics. Now what's next? What do you want to work on next? So if you can tap into that, it can be really fun. And it's always very interesting then to see that advanced speaker do something really interesting for the other speakers. They go, oh, okay, one day maybe. Yeah. Just my 2 cents.
That's lovely. I love it. Thank you so much. And I also just want to say that, they get tired of doing the same thing, or I do. So I always get asked to do evaluations, and I always get asked to do educationals. So ask me to give somebody else mentoring on how they deliver the evaluation and on how they deliver the educational, and I'm there like a bear. But yeah, I can do evaluations in my sleep now. Because I've done them so much. Okay, Maureen, how about you? You have a question.
Yes, Karen, thank you so much for this training. You said something very interesting towards the end of your session about first the icebreaker. So is that how we engage the very new member? With first letting them do their icebreaker, and then we would ask them to engage pathways. Is that what you're saying?
So I do, because we're in a corporate. So let me just tell you that by the time I've actually engaged with the member, I've arranged a purchase order, I've actually then sent the invoice to their line manager, and they actually then are joined as a member. That can take me between 2 to 3 months to get that process going. And by then, the member has lost interest, or they've actually moved on to something else. So from a corporate club point of view, we get
Karen is
Frozen again.
icebreaker, and then at that point they then make a decision about whether they want to join my club or not.
Thanks, Karen. And then another question quickly. You said VPPR engages the guest, correct?
So they bring the guest to the club, and then the VPM converts the guest to a member.
Okay.
Although anybody should be bringing, in fact, what I've put onto my schedule for the year is a bring a guest twice, actually 3 times, to match each one of the, those campaigns that we have, Smedley, Talk Up Toastmasters, and Beat the Clock. I have a bring a guest in each one of those times, so that everybody should be bringing guests, but the PR is responsible for the marketing.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Karen.
Okay, I see that we are now at 1:45. So any of those that have come and only intended to be our half an hour, we can formally close down. Thank you so much for your very valuable time. We hope that these sessions every Friday are going to give you practical skills to do your role excellently. So you are very welcome to drop off. Just maybe type in the chat whether you've on a scale of 0 to 10, how useful did you find this? 0, not useful. 1, 10, very useful or extremely useful, just so that we know how to improve these going forward. And then Lynette has a last word before we close off. Lynette.
Regarding getting existing members more engaged, I have found you need to almost tell them what to do in certain respects. And if you give them somebody to mentor, so you say to the existing member or the less interested member, here's a new mentor or a new member, please mentor them. And I'm going to check in with you every 2 weeks or whatever to see how it's progressing. That helps to engage people who somehow might be less engaged, because you make them feel needed and you give them a commitment towards doing something for the club. It's just my 2 cents worth.
Very valuable. Thank you, Lynette. Very, very valuable. Okay. And we are happy to stay on and answer any other questions, burning questions that anybody else has. But otherwise, I declare this training closed. But we'll hang around if you have any questions.
Cheers.
Thank you. Bye.
Just want to say, as a learning professional, the best way to learn something is to teach it. So
Very good. Yeah.
have yourself going.
Thank you for the amazing session.
Yes.
Pleasure. So just based on what you were saying, Karen, a VPE needs to make sure they have 2 assistants and that they are training what we've learned, what they learned today. They train those 2 so that it lightens the load.
Pay it forward.
Yes.
Pay it forward. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you.
Granny B, you're doing the club success plan next week, are you?
That's right.
Yeah. Looking forward to that.
I think that's maybe something that we should do before we close off, just like one normally does a meeting where you say, when is the next meeting? Instead of saying when is the next meeting, we might just give an indication of what the next, I almost said problem is about, project or
Project,
solution.
yes.
Sorry, I
Yes.
Alroy has a question.
Alroy, you have a question?
Yes, hello everybody. Thank you so much. This is my first VPE. I'm with the Westlake Club with Heart out in southern suburbs. So you would be familiar with, I think, several of my colleagues, Erica Mackay, Cerelia Pimentel, and so on. So I've been with Westlake for about 3 years now. And it's the first time I'm raising this issue outside of the club. I had a health challenge, which I wasn't aware about, and turns out, in a nutshell, it's a brain injury, just over here, that prevents the transfer of short-term memory to long-term memory. So I have to see everything. You tell me tomatoes, potatoes, and bread, I come back with fish paste, jam, and tuna mix, and then we have an argument about who said what. That seemed to have been the trend all along. So one of the things that I've learned to do is I write down everything. I've got to see it. If it's not seen, then it won't happen. And Westlake Club with Heart has really accommodated me in that regard. I must say, in taking on the role of VPE, which I know and have seen and am aware is probably one of the most challenging positions in the ExCo. And over time, especially with my exposure to some training by Granny B and Estelle, thank you for your commitment. Thanks for showing up all along. Thanks for not losing any enthusiasm. I want to say that to you. And affirm your work, because I just wanted you to know that maybe it has never happened to anybody. It addresses that need in me, and Toastmasters has enabled me to get better, because when you do a speech, you got to remember and call up that speech. And the notes would be here with me. I'm online most of the time. But Westlake accommodated a person with my challenges. I don't see it as a weakness. I see it as a victory. I'm a person of faith. I'm a Christian. And the Club with Heart has accommodated me in that regard. So for any VPEs or anybody in an exco position, I really think I am extremely privileged to be a VPE in this group, but also part of the Club with Heart. I thought I'd draw it to your attention in my first meeting because you're going to probably get frustrated with me. Yeah, but we told you that. But we told you that. And I will say, yeah, but I don't remember because I didn't see it. So thank you again, Granny B, Estelle, Karen, and Lynette, and all of your colleagues for this incredible work that you do. I wanted to give you that feedback right at the beginning. Perhaps I was a bit shy and not saying it to the whole group. But that's what impact you have as Toastmasters. Thank you very much.
Wow. Elroy,
Roy, thank you so much for your vulnerability. I mean, wow, that's just, yeah, that's just so fabulous. And we will never say we told you so. Because let me just tell you, I don't have a brain injury, but somebody has to tell me something 2 or 3 times before it actually lands. So you are most welcome. And yeah, we're just very privileged to be able to pay forward into people's lives. Granny B, you wanted to add something?
Yes, Elroy, I wanted to say to you that the same as Karen, not that I know that anything has happened to me, but heck, I'm a picture person. And I often tell people when they're busy, when in meetings, corporate meetings, and they're busy discussing something, and then I say, I'm sorry, I don't see it. Until I can see it, I can't participate in it because that's how I function. And that's one of the reasons why we actually have in the description of the group, now it's last year's order, etc., and I will be updating it as we go along. That hence it says look tomorrow, don't look today, look tomorrow. Give me time to update. For that very reason, that when you need something, you are able to go there, you're able to see them, you're able, because we try and save the PowerPoint, we save the video, there are links to resources, etc., so that there is a lot to remember, and you can't always remember everything. Just like I told you all early, I started the IPP group and I totally forgot about them. They're not even added to the community. Somebody said something, and then I remembered, oh my word, I did it. I need to bring them into the community. So I just want to let you know, we are all the same in some way or another. There is something that links us, and it's a healthy link. It's a healthy link.
Yeah, thank you, Shamil. We are all visual learners in some way or another. But thank you. Just wanted to give you that feedback. That's how
Thank
you're
you.
building into other people's lives too.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. That was such a blessing. Well, it seems like this is it. Anybody else? Karen, thank you so much for especially the atmosphere you create. You know, they say the president sets the tone of the meeting, but heck, you set an amazing tone of the training. You are just such a treasure. Thank you so much. And to the other 2 ladies, our support team, thank you so much for your amazing support. And now, to all these, I'm sure those that are still sitting here in this training that haven't dropped off, they are the ones that when we have a party, they're the last to leave. They all have FOMO, fear of missing out on something. That's who we are. You guys go have a fantastic weekend. And yes, we're still here, another 6 minutes if there are any questions.